the media is having to kind of come to terms with the massive change and the slap in the face that they all got, right? Big slap in the face. On top of that, it's together with these potential lawsuits that they're getting a little bit nervous. I mean, defamation, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, you can't sue for defamation because you're a public figure, and public figures, it's a different standard. Sure, it's a different standard, but if you're just outright constantly defaming somebody, even if they're a public person, they have the right to go back and say, hey, enough is enough. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. He announced lawsuits. We learned of these on Friday. He's talking about the Daily Beast, Penguin Publishing, New York Times, among others, CBS, of course, being one that you knew of, for defamation. ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, he's going after for defamation, and also in the case of CBS for just wrongful reporting, the wrongful editing. That'll be harder for him. Full disclosure, that it's going to be harder for him to actually, I think the defamation stuff, though, could be quite real. So we'll see. But look, everyone's getting the message. MSNBC is getting the message. Even those over on The View are getting the message. Well, those except for some.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story.
Woo! So she's really dissing Mika and Joe for that one. Oh, you kissed the ring.
So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists.
Oh, well, they're definitely not journalists, and neither are you, honey.
But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts. He is the guy who attacked...
It's sort of mind-blowing. Alternative facts. I mean, isn't it an alternative fact? The New York Times tries to tell you that wages are actually going up. Oh, they're going up, the New York Times reports. Except they don't actually look at real wages, which are adjusted for inflation, which actually, in truth, tells you one thing and one thing only. Wages were going down under Joe Biden. No, but that's alternative facts. Give me a break. All right, let's listen to that.
3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question. And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted. This is an aberration.
But the reality is he doesn't just have Fox News. He didn't do a lot of mainstream media this election, but he went on Joe Rogan and reached 50 million people.
So she's unbelievable. I mean, she's a very sore loser. She's having a hard time. Everybody else, first of all, Whoopi's not saying boo. Okay, Whoopi's like afraid to talk because she needs the gig apparently, and she's on thin ice. I'm sure her bosses are like freaking out. Well, I'm not even sure. This has been reported. It is panic mode at The View right now. It's so bad that they're actually looking for a conservative MAGA type host to go on there and spar with them because it's that bad. Quote from the New York Post, ABC News brass are in panic mode as they hunt for conservative voices to balance the rabid anti-Trump rhetoric spewed by the hosts on The View, the Disney-owned network, which came under fire after these ABC News moderators grilled Donald Trump during the presidential debate. Remember that one, 3-on-1? Well, it's been holding high-level meetings ever since last week, roused by the former president. Sources close to the situation told the Post. And so the ABC News Group president, along with the ABC News president, they're just in all these talks. They got to figure out some way to try and get the other side out there because, they didn't for how long? And they're actually going to be in a lot of trouble, not just with their viewers which have written them off, but with this guy over at the FCC. I'm talking about Brandon Carr. Brandon Carr, who has no appetite for any of this. Listen, I've told you before and I'm going to tell you again. There is no way that Disney wants this company, ABC, Just no way. It's like a hot potato. You want to get rid of it. The problem is nobody's actually willing to buy the thing. Why would you want it? It is way too expensive. You got to deal with unions and all this other stuff. I mean, think about the change in the podcast arena, in the streaming arena, in podcast video, what I'm doing here, live with you right now. It doesn't cost a lot. You know what that view costs? A whole lot. You got a live studio audience. You got cameras coming from here, there, and everywhere. You got a big lighting crew. You got somebody that you got to pay just to hold up signs to say clap or laugh or whatever that is. So the FCC director is going to come in and say, you know what, I don't care about the values that you all cared about before, because last time around, the second highest strategic goal for the FCC was diversity and inclusion. Amazing. Well, now the FCC doesn't care about diversity and inclusion anymore. Now the FCC just cares about fairness in reporting. And I'm not saying you got to be pro-Trump. Believe me, I'm not saying that. But you got to be fair. You can't be the New York Times reporting that wages are going up. You can't be Morning Joe saying it's you that's the problem. Actually, the economy is just fine. I mean, you want to talk gaslighting. People don't feel like the economy is fine. Why? Because there's a tremendous amount of inflation and their money does not go as far. So you got to complete the whole story. And that's what the FCC is going to demand, as they should. Or you know what? No, you really shouldn't have a public broadcasting license. So this is going to get heated and heated, more and more heated. Sunny is the only one out there torching Trump on The View right now. She seems to be a little bit, I don't know, sort of career suicidal-esque in doing so, because even Whoopi Goldberg knows better. We heard from the other host on The View, Ana Navarra even, who somehow thinks that, you know, we ought to just move forward and go to Thanksgiving with our family members and, you know, not allow this to consume us the way they believe that it consumes you or should consume you over on MSNBC with Joy, who's not so joyful these days. Listen, a lot is about to change. And if you're smart as a business person, you're going to realize that. You absolutely will. I mean, MSNBC realizes it. They're trying to sell the thing. Disney realizes it. It's trying to sell its networks. And Joe Scarborough realizes it, right? So he's trying to at least have a cleaned up brand in the process, if he possibly can. But they're panicked. They're worried. They don't know what to do. They're going to get some poor sap to go on there and try and be the conservative and, you know, say, hey, well, we did what we had to do. We put a conservative on. Remember Meghan McCain? She had to go on there and play that role. She wasn't too happy about it. She'd never go back. I mean, no one with any self-respect would go onto that show.